Okay, guys, I know this is a little different, but what I've decided to do, I've had a lot of death recently. My father passed away last month, and my girlfriend passed away almost a week ago. And when she was alive, I would tell her stories about things that would happen when I was growing up. She always recommended that I go ahead and make storytime videos because we would always enjoy watching the stories from Reddit and story times, neckbeards, and all that. She recommended that I share my story, not on Reddit, but here on YouTube on my channel. So, this will be a thing that I'm going to go ahead and come up with. Every time I get a chance, I'll at least sit down, record at least 20 to 30 minutes of my experiences growing up in an apartment building that was definitely haunted and not my childhood imagination. So, I'll get started here. I grew up in an apartment building in Los Angeles. Everybody, even the adults, knew there was something funky going on. Before my little brothers were born, and also this is back in the 1980s. Before my brothers were born in 85, I was an only child for 4 years. I was unfortunately too young to really enjoy it. My family was poor, like just about every other normal family. We didn't really have much. My parents really couldn't afford toys for me, so what I would do is I'd go through the trash, dig out like cardboard Eggo waffle boxes and stuff like that, and I would make my toys out of cardboard. Granted, my parents did buy me some toys, or they find a way to get me toys and stuff because they do care about me. One day, one of the kids moved away, and they gave us this big box of toys. It had like a bunch of Hot Wheels and stuff like that. And my parents always kept it in the closet of their room. And one day I was home alone. My dad was out working. My mom was off working. I snuck into the room, and I was in the closet, and I started playing with the toys. And out of nowhere, I heard a scratching sound. And I was thinking, that's weird. So I moved the coats, because I was inside the closet playing in the box of toys. And I moved the coats, and I see claw marks show up on the wall, and I freaked out, and I jumped out of the closet, and I went running out, and I looked at the closet, and the claw marks were still there. I went and I thought, oh, if I get a sponge and some soap, maybe I can wash them away like dishes. I was like 4 years old at the time. And so I run back, and the claw marks are gone. And I'm just thinking, what the heck? So I go and I put the soap and the sponge back. I go back to my mom's room to play with the toys again. And my toys are scattered all over the floor. And I'm just thinking, what? I remembered that all the toys were in the box. The box was still in the closet. So I picked them up and I put them in the box because my mom would tell me if I leave toys laying around, she's going to throw them away. Of course, I didn't want my toys being thrown away. Nobody wants their toys thrown away. So I put them away. I leave my mom's room. I go to the living room to watch TV. And I was just thinking about that. These are some of the memories that, even though, yeah, I was very young, they were so strange that they've stuck with me my whole life. And it was just utterly bizarre. I would remember there was another incident where I was drinking some juice and my favorite cartoon came on. Or one of my favorites. I think it was probably Dino Saucers or something. So I go to watch the intro because I really like the intro. And I come back. My juice is gone. Where is it? It's in the sink. I couldn't really reach the sink, but I saw the straw from the juice box in the sink. And I thought, that's bizarre. There was so many strange incidents that happened. After my brothers were born, I remember the first time I saw my two little brothers, they're twins. I looked at them on my mom's bed. I looked at my mom, and I said, Mom, these things are ugly. Take them back. I don't want them. Oh, she smacked me so hard. Yeah, things kept acting. Things kept not acting. Things kept being strange after that incident, or not after, but they continued. Strange things continued. They didn't stop. I had a cousin. Actually, I had a lot of family that lived in that apartment building, and I would always tell them, "Hey, there's something weird going on at my place." They would tell me, "Yeah, no, sometimes some strange things happen where they live too." But we really didn't think too much of it because, at the time, we really didn't have that much knowledge of ghost spirits and paranormal, except for what we'd see on TV. And what we saw on TV was mostly Casper the Friendly Ghost. right? So at that time, we really didn't know much about paranormal or any of that stuff. Okay, so some of the other things that happened in this apartment building that really freaked me the heck out. Um, when my brothers were a little older, they went to the closet to go get towels for their bath, shower, or whatever. I was in the kitchen, which was just only a couple feet away from the hallway where we had the closet for that we had our towels in. And I heard a voice tell my brothers, "Hey, come on in, we can play." And I didn't recognize the voice, and I turned around and they're looking in the closet. So I run over to tell them, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" They looked at me confused, and they pointed to the closet and they said there was a little boy in there. I look, obviously there was nothing there, but I know I heard a voice, and it was a voice I didn't recognize. I would help them out with their baths and everything because they were still really little and my mom needed the help. And it was just so bizarre. There was one incident where I got scared because it looked like my brother's eyes were completely black on both of them, and I kind of freaked out. And then after like a few minutes, their eyes went back to normal. I mean, these are the kinds of things that I was experiencing. I mean, I was seeing things, I was hearing things. Things would go missing and then show up elsewhere. I mean, there was an incident where my parents gave me the keys to the apartment, and the keys were in my pocket. I have not left the apartment at all. I was sitting down watching The Legend of Zelda, so I'm guessing it was probably a Friday. And a friend of mine comes by and says, "Hey, Sass, we found your keys outside." And I was thinking, wait, what? My keys? But they're in my pocket. And I go to reach for my keys, and there's a rock in my pocket. And then I look at my friends, and they're holding up my keys. And I was just thinking, wait, how did that happen? And I asked them, where'd they find my keys? And they said, oh, we found it in the plant area, because in the middle of my apartment building, there's an area with a lot of vegetation, plants, banana trees, and stuff like that. And oh, that reminds me, there was a legend. Of course, there's always a legend with any haunted place. But apparently, during the 60s, this particular apartment building used to have a swimming pool where the plants and the trees are. But what ended up happening was that a little kid got into his brother's drug stash, went to the roof of this 3-story apartment building, and jumped into the pool, busting his head open, and died. And people think that, oh, this is the ghost that wanders around the apartment building. Because now at this point, we're a little older. We know about, we have some idea about ghost hauntings and stuff like that. And so we would always say that the ghost's name was Little Jerome. We don't know where we got the name Jerome from, but that's what we would say. Oh, it's Little Jerome. Whenever something would happen. Me and my other friends, we were just utterly convinced that the whole building was haunted by this one spirit. We think he used to live in my apartment because that's where the most activity happens, the most strange things happen. One good example is at this particular time, my oldest brother was living with us. I don't remember how old I was. I was in my early teens. And I was eating some broccoli. They were coming to fumigate the place, and my brother did not want to leave. He just wanted to sleep. He worked graveyard, I think. And so we got a bunch of towels, soaked them with water so the poison gas doesn't get into his room. And I made like a little cross with the broccoli water and everything and said a little prayer saying, hey, you know what? God, please protect my brother. Don't let these fumes get in and kill him because he's being stubborn. And being stubborn is mostly what my family's known for. Ever since that day, we would hear footsteps going from the front door all the way to the door room, and they would stop. The first few times it was like a bang, and then the door would shake. But ever since I did that thing with the broccoli, that would happen, and everyone in my apartment, except my little brothers, would realize it. I don't know, to this day, I don't know if my brothers realized it, heard it, or whatever. They were still very, very, very young. They were probably around 4 or 5 years old, maybe 6. Shortly after my brother moved out, my dad took over that room, and he would tell me, yeah, no, always at around 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, he would hear the footsteps, and they would stop at the door. And sometimes the door would shake, sometimes it wouldn't. I mean, I've seen it, and I heard it when it would do that. There were just so many incidents in this apartment building. There was one where I was chased out of my apartment because a chair kept spinning and hitting me. It was the only chair that we had. This was back in the late 80s. I really enjoyed watching Gilligan's Island, so I'd flip that chair over because it would spin. So I would use it as if it was a steering wheel for a boat. One day, that thing spun and hit me in the face, but I wasn't holding the chair, so it shouldn't have spun. So I put the chair back up, and it kept spinning, but it also had wheels, so it kept rolling towards me. And I was so scared, I ran out of my apartment and I just stared at it, and it was just spinning in the living room. It went to the center of the living room and it just spun for a little bit, and then it just fell over. I was so terrified, I did not go back into my apartment until somebody else came home. There were, oh my god, I don't know how many episodes of this I'm gonna make. I promised myself that I would only do like 30-minute episodes or 30-minute increments of this, and I hope you guys are still listening, because right now I'm going off memory. I'm probably the next one I'll write these down so they're more linear instead of me hopping through the 80s and 90s. Because we lived in this apartment building until 2001. At around 98 or 99, we changed apartments. Stuff still happened, just not as frequent. There was an incident where one of my brothers, I never knew about that this brother even existed, but apparently he died. And my oldest brother was living with us again, and his wife was there too. And she comes to wake me up. I'm sleeping on the couch, and she comes to wake me up and tells me that there's somebody in the bed, that my brother's not home yet. Me in my sleepy haze, I barely open my eyes, and I tell her, oh, he'll be back later. He usually gets home at around 2 or 3. And she's like, no, there's someone in the bed. I'm already asleep at this point. I went back. I passed out again. She goes back, and she's just freaking out because there was a man that showed up out of nowhere, sleeping in the bed next to her. And in the morning, she was telling all of us about it. My dad comes and tells us, oh, one of my sons passed away. I was terrified. I was mortified. I go, which one of my brothers died? He goes, oh, you never met this one. Granted, there's, I don't know how many brothers and sisters I have in total. We say that there's 10 that we know of. This now includes this new brother that I only found out about after he passed away. So my oldest brother says, yeah, no, he passed away last night and told us the times. And his wife said that's the same time the man was in the bed, and that Sass would not wake up or get out of bed to check. I mean, that's just really, really bizarre, because she didn't know about this brother. I didn't know about this brother. And she comes to me at the same time he passed away to tell me there's somebody in the bed. It was just utterly freaky. I remember the first time I saw the ghost, or the spirit, the entity, apparition, whatever. I was in the bathroom and the light bulb burned out. I will admit it, I do have a phobia of going into bathrooms when there's no light. This is where it comes from. I was in the bathroom. I was very young. I was probably around 7 or 8 years old. Probably even younger. And so I looked at the shower while I'm in the bathroom. I was just thinking, oh, well, this sucks. Wonder how long it's going to take them to change the light bulb or something like that. And I see a shadow sitting in the bathtub. So I get up and I run out, and I'm at the doorway and I'm looking at this shadow sitting in the bathtub. And then it just stands up and walks away. After that, I started calling it Shadow Guy. Until later on we understood more about paranormal hauntings and stuff like that, and it became Little Jerome. But for many years, I would call it Shadow Guy. And I would still have dreams. I would have nightmares of going to a bathroom and running into this thing again. Even as an adult, I will not go into a bathroom if the lights are out. That's how freaked out I am about it. That's how traumatized I am about this thing. Even as an adult. I mean, I'm almost 40. and I will still refuse to go into a bathroom if there are no lights. Yeah, I keep extra light bulbs just in case my bathroom light goes out, so I can just quickly replace it and then be done with it. Like I said. And you know what? I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay in the background. I don't know which game I'm gonna put yet, but this is pretty much what I plan to do for my story times. And these are all coming based off my own memory, my own personal recollection of events. Because I mean, most of the people that I shared my childhood with, that experienced these things with me, I really don't have any contact with, which is sad, but that's just the reality of things. There's so many incidents where people would see this shadow guy. There was an incident when one of my other brothers was living with us. He gets out of his room to go to the bathroom and yells at me to go to bed. I'm asleep on the couch. Yes, for many years I slept on the couch because we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, and my parents would rent it out for extra income, and my older brothers, my adult brothers would come and rent the place out. So we wouldn't rent it to like strangers and stuff like that. But he's yelling at me to go to bed. I'm asleep on the couch. He comes to tell me to go to bed. And the next thing he knows, he sees Shadow Guy, little Jerome, run past me. I'm on the couch and go through the wall. And he just kind of screamed a little and freaked out. And then he woke me up and told me if I saw that. And I just looked at him and go, saw what? And he was telling me about it. And I go, oh, that happens. I'm going back to sleep now. And shortly after he left, it's just, he was freaked out because I don't know if that was his first experience with this shadow guy, or just his first experience with anything paranormal in general. I'm going to end this here, and later on I'm going to write down more events and try to make this a little bit more structured and not just something as random like this. Okay. Guys, if you made it this far, please let me know in the comments. Let me know if you enjoy this, if you want to see more content like this, because I want to keep you guys entertained. This helps me with my grief as well. And if you guys want more, I will give you more. If you guys want to see a specific game in the background, if I have it, I'll do it. I want to make you guys happy too, right? Okay? And don't worry, I've got over decades worth of paranormal stories. And I have stories from my dad when he was growing up in El Salvador of paranormal events that no one could explain. Okay, so I will see you guys in the next one. And thank you so very much for joining me.